Hello, my name's Kate Cocker and I'm delivering the podcast for business training here at Prolific North in October. And today is International Podcast Day. That's the 30th of September. And so what I thought would be a really nice idea would be to share with you some of the hidden gem podcasts that are made in the North. Now, I'm sure if you listen to podcasts or you've gone to search podcasts, you found it quite overwhelming. And actually, when you search for podcasts, you can't search for podcasts made in the North. But I thought this would be a nice celebration to find some of those lovely gems of a podcast that you could then listen to. So here are my top 4 suggestions, although the 4th one is a bit of a multiple one, so get your pen and paper out ready. Number 1, I recommend to you a podcast called The Adventures of Brian Hovis. It was made back in 2017 and it has been winning international awards ever since. It's audio drama in its finest form. It's hilarious. It's immersive immediately. Very funny, very well written. It's acted by one person. I've just started it, so I don't know what happens at the end myself yet, but I would say listen to it, you'll be hooked immediately. It's about a chap who's quite posh, whose mum gets kidnapped by Downton Nappers, rather than anti-Downton Abbey fans, basically. And it just ensues from there, and it's a riot. It's great fun, and it'll make you giggle right from the get-go. So I'd really recommend that one. Podcast number 2 recommendation is made over in Sheffield. It's by Kat and Jen, and they do a podcast called The Naked Podcast. Had you considered that if someone was interviewing you without your clothes on, how that might change your answers? This podcast is vulnerable, it's deep, and it goes there quick. In fact, I was walking the dog in Alexandra Park listening to this week's episode and burst into tears halfway round. So warning, don't listen in public if you're not comfortable with people seeing you cry, but it's an emotional roller coaster and I highly recommend it. Podcast number 3, made here in Manchester. It's called Coming Out Stories by Emma Goswell. Now, Emma Goswell very eloquently points out right from the get-go that once you come out, you're not coming out once, you're coming out all of the time to all of the people that you speak to. And so she gets people to talk about their coming out stories, and these very short but brilliantly formed interviews are vulnerable, they're different, they're insightful, they're enlightening, and you know what, we're all vulnerable about things about ourselves. So whether you've had to come out as LGBTQ+, or whether you've had to come out as just, something that you're embarrassed about or something that you're feeling vulnerable about, this really applies to everybody. It's a wonderful series and I'd really highly recommend it. And my podcast recommendation number 4 is, in general, sport. So if you are into sport in any way, there is a good chance that you are listening to a podcast that is made here in the North. If you're into boxing, there's the Fight Disciples. If you're into rugby union, there's the Egg Chasers Rugby podcast. Both of those award-winning podcasts. Another award-winning podcast is called On the Left Side. So if you're into football and you're into things being funny, check out On the Left Side. If you're into Man United, there's Full Time Devils. If you're into Man City, there's the Man City Show. If you're into Liverpool, if you're a Liverpool supporter, there's the Anfield Wrap. These are all big, well-established and really good podcasts that you can listen to. And if you're into netball, like I am, the BBC did a podcast called Netballers over the summer during the World Cup, which again, really fun, really insightful, lets you into the world of netball that isn't just like up here level that you don't understand. It's all about all sorts of things as well, and life too. So there's your set of podcasts. 1, The Adventures of Brian Hovis. 2, The Naked Podcast. 3, Coming Out Stories. And 4, pretty much all of the sports podcasts that you can think of, including Stan Collymores' latest podcast called The Last Word, which is produced up here in Manchester too, or up here in the North anyway. So that's your lot. Enjoy some of those. If you are interested in making a podcast for your business, then check out our training in October. You can go to the Prolific North website, prolificnorth.co.uk, and sign up there. In the meantime, happy listening.